When you're ready. All right, everyone, welcome. I'd like to humbly acknowledge this sacred, beautiful, unceded land of the Siouxs and Okanagan and Inkatha people, along with the contributions of the Métis community, and just a wonderful, warm welcome to each of you here tonight. Thank you so much. Before you, we do have an agenda. Any changes, omissions to the agenda as seen? Motion to accept the agenda. Thank you, Trustee Rayner. Thank you, second. And we're moving forward. Item number 3 and minutes. We're going to talk a little bit about minutes 3A, open meeting held November 12th, 2025. I need a motion to accept. Thank you, Trustee. And second. Item number 4, business arising from the minutes. None. We're moving forward. Item 5, reports. A, you will see closed meeting held November 12th, 2025. Any errors, omissions, notes? I'd like a motion to accept and a second to accept. Thank you. Second. All right. And the special closed meeting held November 17th, 2025. Motion. Thank you. And this. Thank you. Any questions? Item 6. We are here, presentation. And I don't know if we need any introductions of any kind, or if we got some setup.
Vince, do you want me to introduce you, or are you okay to introduce yourself?
Okay.
Yeah. Where should I stand?
You can stand here if you would like, or if you, yeah, I would say here is probably best.
Okay, so Vince Canagan, a longtime teacher in the Nicola Valley. Probably close to 30 years here, 20 maybe. And then the last year and change, I've been the union president for the NBTU. A pretty big shift for me. But thank you for allowing me to come and speak. I'm going to speak towards embedding Pro-Ds. So hoping that we can maybe push that a little bit here. And I'd like to provide first some background on Pro-D in our district and explain why we feel, the teachers, that moving away from Summer Institute and embedding professional development is in the best interest of our teachers and students. And so Summer Institute, it's been around since I've been here. It's been held on the merit side of the district for nearly 3 decades, maybe more. The format has varied somewhat, but it typically consists of a keynote speaker for all teachers, followed by smaller breakout sessions. And then there's a third school-based day that completes the program. And this structure occurs outside the school calendars defined by the School Act. It's uncommon. It's used in very few districts in the province. My understanding is Boundary and us are the only ones that do it. And Boundary has a exceptional circumstances in that they're a 4-day-a-week program, right? Our professional development chair, Lindsay DeVisser, recently surveyed the NBTU members on which format they'd like to see. And the majority of teachers expressed concerns about Summer Institute. They said sessions were not always relevant or subject specific. There was overload when you had 3 consecutive full days. There was limited choice and reduced autonomy. And there's a long gap between what you've learned and classroom application. And when asked what format they prefer, the majority of teachers indicated a strong support for embedded year-round professional development. They identified these benefits. It would be ongoing. It would be spread out throughout the year. They would have the ability to respond to student needs as they arise. Professional development would align more closely with their current students, the composition, the needs, and it would be much easier to absorb. So implementing an embedded model would require the addition of 4 days into the calendar. And this shift would provide that continuous learning, and not just year-round learning, but it almost wouldn't end, right? You'd pick up in September and keep rolling with it. It would have a direct and immediate impact on classroom practice. There would be opportunities to focus on grade, subject, and student-specific needs. There would be the ability for individual teachers to set professional goals and pursue them. There'd be multiple opportunities for collaboration with educators. And there'd be greater teacher autonomy, which I believe would build professional agency. There would be direct benefits for students too. They'd be immersed in a continually updated program. They'd have teachers that were excited and energized with the new things that they're bringing back to them. And learning in the classroom would be filled with new techniques, strategies, ideas, literature, and tools. The school board office has identified concerns about merit slow achievement scores in reading, writing, and math. Improving these outcomes requires a multi-layered approach, and embedded professional development, we believe, is a critical component of that work. Teachers recognize that some of our students experience food insecurity. Adding 4 embedded days will require us to expand existing supports and collaborate with community partners to ensure these are met. Across the province, districts with strong student achievement consistently use embedded Pro-D models. This is a foundational element of improved learning outcomes. The recent school calendar and Pro-D survey generated thoughtful discussion and a clear, unified voice. Teachers in the Nicola Valley strongly support embedded professional development because they are keen to continually improve their practice and believe that our students deserve the best learning environment we can provide. It's our hope that the 2026-2027 calendar embeds the additional 4 professional development days. So we're really hoping, the teachers are really hoping that you'll give this additional consideration. We think it's valuable. And when we look at some of the other things that will enhance learning, this one doesn't have those costs. I think we can absorb those. So are there any questions or comments? Yes?
Yeah, that's nice. Right off the bat, you said you want to push back against some. Push back against what?
Summer Institute. Yeah, we do. We're ready for a change here. And you know, the Summer Institute has its benefits, and in our survey, people spoke about that, and there's an appreciation for the people that put in all the work for Summer Institute as well. But there's also a need to respond to a changing world and to respond quickly. Things are moving pretty quickly. Kamloops has just added Brisk as an AI tool, right? And yes, a follow-up. Yeah, yes, yeah.
So right now, we have a 2-week spring break. I'm
Yeah.
sure your survey, did it talk about the 2-week spring break?
We,
Implications of that?
you know, I'll have to check that and get back to you. We've done surveys in the past, and if we just specifically ask, would you want embedded or Summer Institute? They would take embedded Pro-D over Summer Institute. When it's combined with the 2-week spring break, you know, that I don't understand that. I fully don't understand that, why those are coupled. And maybe you people have some answers here on why that's coupled together. But Summer Institute happened before there was a 2-week spring break. They weren't coupled at the beginning, right? And somehow it's like, if you want this, you've got to have this. And I really hope that we can look at both of those on their merits and see where we can go. Yeah, so.
And just lastly,
Yeah.
what's your sample size?
54 and 56, I think, out of our 100 teachers for the sample size for the survey. So, you know, reasonable. If they were to do it again after the survey, and it was productive conversation. I would say since I've been here, this was the most, when I meet with people, this has always come up, and it's not been a negative interaction. I would say people have been talking very professionally about this topic. The teachers.
Yeah. Pro-D is a teacher prerogative. It's a union prerogative.
Yes.
What happens with Pro-D, the calendar sets the 2-week spring break. I think we've had the Summer Institute for, I don't know, 35. I don't know who's been around that long. I don't know. It's going to go in the archives.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
So is the request that drop Summer Institute, embed it, and then leave the calendar to the board?
I guess that would be my, if you're going to frame it like that, I feel that would be something that our members would get behind. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, they would like the 2 week spring break, and we had, you know, like young teachers that are good young teachers who want to keep here. Um, have said, I need to re-energize. I am worn out. I need that 2 week spring break. I think we have 4 new teachers that have signed up for the new teacher conference in Kelowna. They're giving up Saturday to go. You know, new teachers aren't flush with money quite yet. There's costs. We're going to look at ways how we can support that. They don't know about that quite yet, but we'll figure that out. But that's pretty fantastic that they're getting together and they're going to a new teacher conference on a Saturday on their own time, right?
I got a follow-up to that.
Yeah.
Is that part of their embedded Pro D in Kelowna?
No, this is just something that the BCTF offers to new teachers to,
Okay.
we're looking at retention. How can we keep teachers past 5 years and things like that? So we're offering courses that'll support new teachers as they, you know, work their way through those challenging first few years, right?
Well, for retention, for sure.
And for retention, right? So it's for those reasons, and we're excited that 4 teachers are going. We've had one of our members went to Nanaimo last year to the new teachers conference to present, which was pretty nice too. And that's on a Saturday, right? So they're not looking for that day off as much. Do you know what I mean? I think our teachers are pretty enthusiastic throughout the province around Pro D opportunities. Yeah. And that guy there, Jacob, was in my class, and a lot of the activities that we would do were I drew on those Pro D, you know, things that I've learned, and we had a pretty engaging class, I feel, right? Like busy.
Trustee Bentley.
Yeah, so I'm not as familiar with the Pro D system and its intricacies, so you have to forgive me that, maybe explain a little. So my understanding is the Summer Institute brings all the teachers together for the most part into one place. I also have heard from teachers in Princeton that, you know, it would be nice if they had more Pro D down in Princeton because there's a lot of travel for them, and I respect that. I don't disagree. That being said, if we embed the Pro D days into the schedule throughout the year, does it still bring teachers all together in one place for those days? Or do they have a little bit more of a self-directed tack to them? Like, how does that work?
Well, I think it's different for different people. My learning community is well beyond the bounds of merit. Okay, so I communicate with teachers throughout the province. There's one that I work with in Fort St. John. We share topics and ideas and things like that. So the teachers that you meet are you know, often province-wide. I don't miss the math conference, the big math conference every year. I don't know how many people. We have 2,500 people from the States come to it. We have crazy keynote speakers. Simon Singh, he's written all kinds of books. He's famous in England, maybe not here, but if it's pretty fantastic. So opportunities exist. We have a lot of opportunities that are computer-based now, right, on Zooms and things like that. In mid-November, there was one that started on Friday, went through Saturday, Thursday, I think, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We've had Dr. Peter from SFU has come up and helped us out with math. He's phenomenal. He was one of the presenters there. There were just presenters like all over. It was free. It was free. Like, it was fantastic, right? So I tune into those things, even though I'm not doing that anymore, but I still enjoy those. So does it bring the merit teachers together as a collective? Likely not, but we do see when people travel out. We've got 4 teachers here that are going to travel together to Kelowna to enjoy that. So that bonds them a little bit, but it doesn't have that big, you know, one-time kind of, yeah. Does that help? Yeah. Yeah, so I think we're pretty individual around that,
I
right?
have one follow-up question since John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got another one.
The other thing you mentioned was addressing, because the big concern for a lot of us is that concept of, you know, kids having that safe space and losing potentially 4 days of having meals and security and that type of thing. You did mention looking for ways to address that, which is fantastic. Do you have like examples of what that would look like?
Well, I know we have some existing programs, right now. Some backpack programs, so maybe those things can be expanded. I don't have solutions for that. But I do know there's good people in this room with, ideas and probably have partners, in the community and maybe different ministries where we can address those kind of things. So not a full answer for you there. You're yawning. Yeah. Yes. So.
So when you're talking about do teachers get together for Pro D during the year, you're thinking more subject matters might get together. Like grade 8 English might get together.
I would love that, right? And teachers have autonomy to choose what they want to pursue. When I hear things like we want to improve our reading, writing, and math skills, I want that. I want our students to finish grade 12. This is me. I think most teachers would like this, to finish grade 12 and have options. And we use that word potential a lot. We want our kids at their highest potential. And we've done things in this district that are pretty neat, like the AVID program, where we identified kids that we think we can get there with a bit more support and boost. And we worked that through the high school. That was fantastic. So for me, if I think a lot of teachers would pursue that, especially with the backdrop that we do want to improve our success rates for our students and have them graduate with the most number of opportunities that are available to them.
Sorry, I'm gonna.
Yeah, go ahead.
On the memo that you read out there, that's from Merritt and Princeton.
Yeah, I spoke for Princeton today, or for Merritt, sorry. I did not speak for Princeton there.
Do we
No.
know what Princeton feels?
On their survey, their survey was, I could get Trina to send that over to you. The results were a little bit stronger in that they wanted embedded Pro D at a higher level than us. There have been challenges for them as far as transport, burning up, if you claim your money and burning up those kind of things, and they always have to come here and so there's some hardships at that side, and the expectation is they show up, right? So, yeah.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that?
Yeah.
And just to help me understand, we're operating as governors for a district, a complete
Yes.
district. And so to Trustee Chenoweth's point around the segregation of two bodies of teachers brings me to the place and space I really want us to understand with clarity the impact this will have on both parents, students, and all teachers in the district, because we have to operate. That includes all. So it's hard for me. I get what I'm so glad the clarity you offered, that it was you're speaking on behalf of teachers and Merit. And so I'd love to,
Yeah.
Does the Pro D committee here meet with Princeton Pro D committee?
Yeah, we tie in through Zoom.
But you don't do the survey together?
We did independent surveys. Yeah, we did independent surveys.
Because you're right, we operate as one school board,
Right.
one district.
Okay, we could consolidate that information and get that to you.
I
Yeah,
think it would be really good if you did.
okay.
it just helps with clarity.
Yeah.
And informed decision-making. That has some unified messaging. For me, when I am sitting at this table, I'd like to think that all teachers in Merit know that I'm listening to them, as well as I've never thought about it in a separate way. So if does that help you, Vince?
Trina would be very happy to work with me, and we can consolidate that information and get it to you. And we could do it,
Maybe just for understanding, even for myself, like this was raised was it April? February, when we were looking at the calendar for this year.
Right.
And the subsequent year.
Yeah.
And Union Princeton brought it up that they had concerns about the Summer Institute, which is we've had a practice here for so long, but teachers have autonomy on their Pro D. And it says mandatory Pro D in Summer Institute, but it's not mandatory. You don't have to go to Summer Institute. Is that not the case?
I'm going to say it's not mandatory, but it's limiting, right? Because those extra 3 days have to be done in this block. And
spring break the second week.
they have to be done there. And, you know, I think of that math, conference that was online there the other day for free, that should count. That was good. That was, you know, the whole time. Like if any teacher watched that on Monday, they would go in and they'd be like, you know, we're gonna learn something called low floor, high ceiling. One question for all of us and everyone in the room can do it, right? At different levels, but so cool.
When Leah and I met with
Lindsay.
Lindsay and yourself.
Yeah,
And we just talked about how, like, as the board, we are policy driven.
Right.
And our policy, one of them is to approve the calendar,
right.
right? And then the questions you're raising around Pro D, whether it should be Summer Institute embedded. You know, right now, for the last 15 years, we've had a 2-week spring break thereabouts.
Yeah.
And embedding and keeping that. I mentioned to you and Lindsay that one of our concerns as a board was the 4 extra days of childcare for parents in the town that a lot of people can't afford it.
Right.
And so that's, I told you, that's what will be weighing on our minds around that.
Yeah, I understand that. And
Yeah.
we're considerate of that. There's no question about that. And, you know, I guess my question is, can we somehow address that? So I really believe this will allow more people, as they leave our system to have more opportunities, right?
Yeah, and I
really
don't
believe
think,
that.
we've had a 2-week spring break, I think longer than, I don't know if it was there when you were in school. Who knows?
Yeah, we've had one for a long time, yeah.
Yeah, so,
And just to support that around what's best practice in the province, we'd also like to address what other districts are doing when they embed those additional 4 days. Does that look like a 1-week spring break?
No, it doesn't.
Okay,
Yeah.
and can you
So-
speak for certain for 60 districts?
I can speak for 60. I cannot speak for 60.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find all those calendar things there. You know, actually Courtney probably knows a fair bit about who's got what. I did put it out on our president listserv and I did get information back. I didn't get anyone coming back. I think we got about halfway through. But I don't know of a district that's running a 1-week spring break.
Thank you.
And I think there's almost all of them are running embedded. So 2-week and embedded.
Thank
Those
you.
are,
That's
and the
helpful.
nice thing for a small district is when we know other people are embedding. We have often had a day where we have coordinated with Kelowna. So that when we go to Prody, we can go there, and they used to let us go for free, right? They would give us I don't know if it's a reciprocal deal because they never came this way, but we used to have those things. So our Prody committee would look at opportunities like that for good opportunities for.
Now, did we want Superintendent Lawrence to speak to that, or Jamie, do you have a new curiosity?
I've got sort of a new curiosity and just maybe a hybrid option. Like I know there is concerns that have been brought up about the childcare and the extension of, you know, 4 days. Is there possibility, and this could be completely insane, but like, is there a possibility of some hybrid of that maybe a 2-day summer and 2 extra days, or, you know, swapping things back and forth between Merritt and Princeton the way we do meetings, just to kind of even out that, you know, that travel issue for Princeton. I'm just kind of looking for, like, are there other options out there that we could look at besides just 4 days here? Is that a reality? Is that something to explore? Or am
I haven't seen it in other districts, a hybrid model. I know like Surrey allows you to do 2 specific days in the summer. And then out of those 6 embedded, you could take, and they're specific on which ones you can take out. They're not our PSA ones, and they're not,
Can you elaborate on the
Oh,
acronyms for the people?
okay,
for
so,
the people that are joining
it's our professional specialist association. So we have about 30 of those. So we have a language arts one, and we have a fine arts one, and all those things. So we have a PSA day. So those ones, each PSA puts on their nucleus, and they put on programs and sessions for so you can't do it on those days, right? But on the smaller days where there aren't those big, you can trade that day for a day off. So and that's a full day off, that's just discretionary day for you. But I'm not sure about all of the other models out there. And I'm not aware of anything that has a hybrid. I have snooped around quite a bit. I've talked to a number of different districts, but I don't have all those answers. Yeah.
John.
Just that, even discussing whether it can be hybrid or not, I don't feel comfortable doing that because that's operational. Right, that's not our prerogative as a board.
Yeah.
And I think I need, that's for myself, make that very clear. I will not dabble in operations.
Yeah, fair.
We approve the policies of the board and one of them is the calendar. But I'm really thankful to you for sharing everything you did with me tonight.
Yep.
I appreciate that.
Okay. I don't know.
So, oh, sorry, Justin.
No, I just didn't want to let Vince leave before I spoke to you. And
I was just gonna say to Jamie, I've talked with the local president of the Princeton Teachers Union about possibly doing summer institute once every 4 or 5 years in Princeton, just to balance it out. They have about 25% of our staff, so probably every 4 years would make sense. I'm not sure if any of them have a hybrid model. Surrey would probably be the closest with that one. We are tight on instructional hours in our district. So if we take any days out of the calendar, we have to add instructional minutes to the day. There's concerns provincially around student attendance, like they're already missing a lot of school. We were just at the FNAS conference and it's pretty high. I will say that Vince, Trina and I had a great conversation on Monday around instructional practice and looking at different options around, how do we work forward to giving teachers what they need. So it's kind of balancing all the interests that are out there.
Thank you. Again, I'm not super familiar with how the process works, so it's throwing things in.
not even a question, just, yeah, I just wanted to say thanks for sharing tonight. Really appreciate it. It helps us, like Jamie said, not super familiar with all these things, so appreciate you coming. The lenses I look at this through are student achievements and recruitment and retention.
Yeah.
And I think you made some great points on how something like this could help in those areas. So I just want to say thanks for sharing, and I think we got some good questions and some good.
John had lots of questions.
Yeah, John had lots of questions.
And if I could just ask, is there anything that we can do? We've got your information. So next steps regarding, and I might lean on Superintendent Lawrence. We will be looking at a calendar.
We had a productive discussion on Monday.
Yes.
Hope that continues and you guys can arrive at something that.
Yeah, and I think,
influence our
if
calendar decision.
people have connections with people in other districts, right? It's good to talk to them. I mean, Ashcroft, Kamloops, they run that embedded and they do extend the school day. It is definitely a few minutes extra in that school day. I've always extended my school day. Guys like Jacob there would work till 5 after 12 off and on our assignments before we ate and things like that, right? So I think that part would have to, people would have to take that into consideration, but that is done throughout the province, the additional days or hours.
Yes, forgive me for not knowing, but we had an extra day. Is that something that's a possibility too? Things like last week of June.
Well, there's no limit to the number of instructional days you can have, like it's flexible by board. If we did do embedded, we could look at extending it, but it has to fit within the bookends of the school year.
Right.
So one thing just to consider for next year is Labor Day's late. It's the 7th, so we won't start school till the 8th. And it can't go beyond June 30th, but that potentially is something we could look at.
Okay, just the question.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks you guys. You got the heat.
Thank
turned
you
out
so
in here.
much.
Yeah, I got this one.
I can leave. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Thank you. No, it's like, thank you. Yeah, if you're a student in my class, they would have done this. Okay, good night. Thanks.
Thanks, Vince. Item 7, Education, Indigenous Education Report. Courtney, this is a lovely report.
So,
Thank you.
you know what, Angela and Simone do a great job of putting this together. The one thing that I wanted to highlight was the grade 9 youth conference. We used to do it separately with one in Merritt and one in Princeton, and this year they brought all the kids together. Which I actually really love when we do events together across the district. Last year we did the winter celebration. Kids from Princeton came over and were participating in that. I think it helps build some bonds across, but our ISAs really step up and do a great job planning those events. And there's lots of wonderful things in here going on with Indigenous education. Angela is also keeping the Indigenous education website up to date, like the page on our website. So just doing a fabulous job.
Any questions for Superintendent Lawrence?
Excellent. It's good.
Is it possible from the board just to compliment Angela in a way that this, and Simone?
Yeah.
This is really beautiful and it's a great resource for trustees moving forward to demonstrate and showcase just how incredible our district is when it comes to really celebrating Indigenous education. Thank you.
I'll be sure to share that with them.
Item B, inclusive education, early learning and childcare report. And Adrienne here.
I understand you've been forwarded the monthly report, so I am actually just going to highlight just a little chunk of that. Part of my role is being part of Safer Schools and keeping kids safe and bringing awareness to families and community about what's happening. And so it made good sense to present to you today. And Cassie's gonna run the presentation. And if I were to say to you, stop, drop, and roll, my hope is that you know that you were on fire.
Okay.
It's what we teach kids, it's what we know as adults. I think we learn that, we teach our own children that. But now if I ask you, what do kids say, or what do you say if somebody has come into your personal space or crossed the line with you with your personal boundaries? What do we teach kids to say? And what do we do?
Drop. Oh, no.
Yeah, we know
Step
stop,
in.
drop, and roll. And when's the last time we know that somebody is on fire, which is awful,
Right.
and it's good to teach that. But when there's the piece they're missing, and so what I want to talk to you today is a really heavy topic. It's on human trafficking, and I will get Cassie to go to the next slide. So within 1 kilometer from us, someone is being lured into sex trafficking. A few years ago, I was in Toronto. I was lucky enough to fly across the country with my children, and we were in the Toronto airport. Merritt and the Toronto airport's bigger than Merritt, than Princeton. And I remember going into the washroom, and on the back of the stall, like that prime marketing space where all the advertising in the world anybody could put what they wanted up. And on the back of every single stall was a Canadian government thing on what do you do if you're being trafficked. I sent my son into the men's washroom. I said, you gotta tell me what's on the back of the washroom door, and came out and it was the same thing. So that was years ago, and on prime marketing space, they're talking about human trafficking. And it was brought up to when Mr. Children and I were down at the Safer Schools conference, that they did a presentation on human trafficking, on sex trafficking. And so I was able to do a presentation for our principals and vice principals on what it is, because I think we all want to say not in our neighborhood, not in our school, not in our community, but the stats tell us that within 1 kilometer, somebody is being lured into sex trafficking. So okay, Cassie can skip to the next. So human trafficking, sex trafficking, what is it? It's basically the recruiting, transporting, transferring, receiving, or controlling a person for sexual exploitation. That means you're trading something for something. It's often connected with prostitution, but it goes way beyond that. It goes way beyond just what we would normally think of as prostitution. And right now it's the fastest growing crime in the world. So we need to kind of sit up and be listening to what the world is telling us. where am I getting the data? I know it's like, yeah, Toronto Airport, it's a long way from Meriden, Princeton. So what I did when I put this presentation together, I just looked at the data, our local data, Interior Health, what are they telling us? What's the Lionsgate Hospital in Vancouver? They're doing lots of research, and what are they telling us? The Canadian Mental Health Association, the Caribou Chilcotin branch, what are they telling us? And then, of course, the Canadian Medical Students Against Human Trafficking, the ones that are really looking into the issue today, what are they telling us? So what I'm sharing with you is local data, and it's really relevant to where we are at. Some of the statistics. So Canada is known as a sex tourism destination. Of all the things we don't want to be known as, unfortunately, that's one of them. And they have highlighted that there are three top hotspots in Canada: Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. And that's a bit scary because we're really close to Vancouver, and it feels like every day Vancouver gets a little bit closer to us. The average age of recruitment is 13 years. In many rural communities, we're 10 to 12. So that's long before they hit the high school. The trends are also showing that it's even younger for our Indigenous females. 50 to 90% of our individuals who are exploited are Indigenous women and girls. 82% of those exploited have experienced some sort of childhood sexual abuse and incest in the past. 90 to 90% of the prostituted persons are pimped or trafficked, which means there's big players involved, and organized crime is playing a big part of it. And only 1 to 5% who enter this industry are able to get themselves out. And so then we're facing addiction, mental illnesses that are alongside. Ways that our kids are being trafficked, these are just a few. And often it's really easy to lean on it's the females, but you're gonna see that trends are, they're coming after boys too. So I know it specifically kind of feels like I'm just talking about the females, but that's not necessarily true. So the one way that kids are being trafficked is that there's a boyfriend. They're pretending to be a boyfriend, and they have created a meaningful relationship and has found a way to bring kids in that way. Kids who run away, the stats are saying that, kids are mad for whatever reason, or they've left home, they don't like this, or they leave for whatever reason. And the people who are watching, within 24 hours, if those students haven't arrived home, there's a good chance that somebody somewhere has been watching them and seen them. And if they pick them up within 3 hours, they're working downtown East Side in Vancouver. We're 3 hours from downtown Vancouver East Side. So it's really scary. There's the renegade piece where it's the youth that are seeking money. They need something. There's the snatch and grab, which is just kidnapping by violent gangs. They're called guerrilla pimps. And then what is increasing is the amount of female friends. So girls befriending girls, boys befriending boys, thinking that there's a friendship building, and then they get them into the industry. So while they all begin differently, they end the same, and it's this false promise of a dream. So what are some things that we need to watch for? And if we want to talk about a community keeping kids safe together, a village to raise a kid, these are things we need to know. When we see a child that has new things, clothing, fancy nails, gifts that don't match with what we know that the student has the finances for. When we see a change in style or dress, it's often sexualized or it's weather inappropriate clothing. There's a new circle of friends in isolation from their old group of friends. You'll see their grades are dropping, any sort of personality changes or identity breakdown. We have some sexual behavior that's inappropriate for the age. If a child is packing more than one cell phone, why do they need more than one cell phone? Or if we see that they're skipping school frequently or running away. What I wanted to note as well is that our female traffickers will often go unnoticed. So when we talk about girlfriends, same sex peers, will often go unnoticed because you don't really, oh, they have a new friend. Isn't that nice? As opposed to why do they have a new friend and is that a match or not? So those are some things that we can really be mindful of. Of course, what do we do the number one thing we do is we build connections with kids. We make sure that we have trusting relationships with adults in the building. Sat in on a really interesting meeting with the First Nation Health Authority, and they challenged it, and there's like, so many kids might not know what a healthy, trusting adult looks or feels like, and it kind of hit me. Because I know I've asked kids, do you have somewhere safe to go? Do you have a trusted adult? I didn't think to identify, like, what does that even mean? So making sure that it's not just thinking, well, of course they have a trusted adult. Does that child know what a trusted adult sounds like, feels like, all those sorts of things? And we teach personal boundaries and grooming, luring awareness. And then, of course, we know the signs. And I wish it was just that simple, but really it all comes back to knowing our kids, communicating with our kids, building trusting relationships. And then I hope it's the next slide, Cassie. It's run, yell, and tell. So if we start reminding kids when somebody's in their space, when something is, they've been made to feel uncomfortable, run, yell, and tell. So if we stop, drop, and roll and run, yell, and tell, if we can get the next generation to have both of those, then I think we're a step ahead, and kids will be safer and families will be. And that's my story.
Wow, Adrian.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. These are resources for the board.
They're just resources that kind of, yeah, great foundations. Just if people are out there and wanting more information, there's so much information on it.
So I have notes as well, and
Yeah.
Trustee Rayner, if maybe you could start us off.
Can you share this person that this to our email?
Absolutely,
Because I'd like to share it with the PACs.
And maybe have a bit of a strategy from a governance point of view. So we're learning about this today. Adrian has shared as the Inclusive Education, Early Learning and Childcare representative. We're learning about this as governors today to hear what you're also sharing with educators in our district.
Yeah.
And what maybe we'd be doing to promote curriculum that will help support these initiatives. Is there anything that your board can do regarding policy or regarding sort of business that we can do to support this work?
Yeah, and I think that's a really great question. I think as we see admin policies come in, I wonder if there's going to be a time, where we're feeling that, you know, we've got some luring going on or some befriending going on, and we're gonna have to take tougher stances of, you know, that welcome in approach. It's really hard to identify when students are at school to think that they're just there to make friends for yucky purposes. And so we don't tend to go down that road to say, you don't belong here because we think, you know, but I wonder as if more awareness is brought to it. And I think would be great if the board kept it as a topic of conversation. If we're saying run, yell, and tell, if we're reminding kids that they have power in their voice, then I think that's how we're getting the message out.
So to share this in support of Trustee Rayner's, to share this with our PACs, is that something we'd be able to?
And maybe we'll ask our administrators to do that, because they sat through a bit longer of a presentation. They had to listen to me for,
Thank you.
but similar ideas, and so that might be appropriate for them as well to help share with parents.
I'm just curious about cell phone policies
Mhm.
and the weaponization of those cell phones in our schools. And often that's the bridge that predators will use to kind of hijack. But what is alarming, what you shared with us, is the recruitment process from friend to friend. So it's almost like they're 3 steps ahead of us.
Yeah.
Knowing that relationships and perhaps the preying of vulnerable young people, that more work needs to be done around what a healthy adult looks like, what healthy relationships look like, how to spot signs, run, yell, and tell. Almost like I'm hearing like a mentorship program for young people in your high schools. And I'm thinking, if it's happening as young in rural communities, it's 10, 11, and 12.
Yeah.
What are we doing in our elementary schools to gently bridge the gap? So I think parents are a really big part of this conversation. And I know the White Hatter resource was on our report, and I did share that as well with our packet for Vermilion Forks. So perhaps we're just.
And I think it's addressed often through what's the kindergarten one that they use? It starts in kindergarten.
In the know, and
Yes.
then there's also, so it used to be called let's talk about touching, but and there's healthy relationships. Open Parachute has a lot to support through the K-12 model on healthy relationships and what that looks like and what is a good friend and really trusting your instincts and that piece too. So there's.
And so the curriculum does support it. I
Yes.
think what we need to be really mindful of is I think it was a topic before that we didn't say, right? Like we would talk about what to do if you're on fire.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think that
Run,
what
yell,
we
and
need to
tell.
do is remember that there's another really strong component of your voice.
So, and then just from a governor's and trustees point of view, I wonder if we'd be able to, 'cause I think the village is more powerful when we get out of our silos sometimes and we share with other agencies. Perhaps what's alarming, maybe this Pro-D that you know about, I wonder if there's ways that we can share this with our interagency community. I wonder if there's ways if we can share this information and great resources with our partners, Ministry of Children and Family Services and RCMP, obviously, I think you're doing a lot of the same work. I just wonder if community knows it's on our website, I'm thinking, right? There's resources on our website. Should a parent be concerned? Our schools have information.
Yep.
Is this a dedicated landing page? Is this?
It's not a dedicated landing
Okay.
page, so it would be around resources. I think this is the important first step, and one of the things that I would say that I appreciate about our district is we don't shy away from hard topics. You know, we're talking about sex trafficking. You know, we know that it's been an issue for decades. It's the age that it's moving to. And what we've seen after COVID is there's been an explosion of exploitation because of a cell phone. You can reach them anywhere, anytime. You know, social media, all of those pieces. You know, we all know stop, drop, and roll. So, you know, I think that the catchphrase, but the first step is being aware. And, you know, we would probably assume that this is a high school issue. It's not. It's starting in our elementary schools, which is one of the reasons why we really promote Open Parachute, conversations around social, emotional. And really, if you look at our strategic plan, our last one is connection. If you really want kids not to end up in this, you know, web, it's who are they connected to? What does a trusted adult look like, represent? How do they treat you? So it's a comprehensive piece. I think, you know, it'd be great for our principals to help support trustees in sharing this out at the PAC, not to scare people, but so that they're aware and you know what you're looking for. And maybe it's not your child, but maybe you notice something with someone else's child. You know, sometimes we have blinders on with what's going on with our own kids. And sometimes people help us see that. But just a real credit to Adrienne. She did a fabulous job with our admin bringing this forward. And then she did such a good job. This is actually what I wanted her to present on here tonight, because I think it's something that we need to know at every level, because really this is a provincial, national, international issue. And it's disturbing how many kids. And when we look at our Indigenous population, you know, our district's about 50% Indigenous in a brick and mortar school. That's 50% of our population that's being targeted even more than everyone else. So, you know, just real credit to Adrienne for bringing it forward. And it's a long-term problem that we're going to have a long-term solution to work towards.
I just want to say thank you. Yeah. And I know it wasn't an easy topic for people here, but the leaning into difficult conversations. We look forward to our superintendent and superintendent guiding us, maybe moving forward, how we can best connect with community. But thank you for bringing this to us. Thanks,
Thank you so much.
Adrienne.
Thanks, Adrienne.
Okay, so to balance it out, now we're gonna talk about all the wonderful things that happen in our district. It's a particularly thick edition, but I don't like to steal your thunder from your PAC meeting, so I'm only gonna highlight one thing per school. Nicola Canford has been hosting the after-school program. We get a lot of uptake with our after-school program. And it would be something that we would actually, if we could find the resources, we would like to expand. And parents are particularly interested in after school programs for their kids, but it's going very well out at Nicola Canford. Moving on to John Allison. One of the things I wanted to highlight there is we now have one librarian who serves all three of our schools in Princeton. And one of the things that she's working on in the library with the kids is around oral language and connecting it to literacy. So just wanted to give a shout out to Leanne and the good work that she's doing there. They do lots of hands-on and really engaging activities at John Allison. If you had never have had a chance to visit the school during the day, it just warms your heart. You know, it's hard to be sad or frustrated when you're in a school of K-3 who are loving life and want to show you their light up shoes. So there's lots of wonderful things going on there. Credit to Crystal and her staff. Diamondville, the one I wanted to highlight is Miss Foreman and Mrs. Edwards took on coaching roles. They had two teams develop their skills and participate in weekly play dates and the district tournament around volleyball. What we're noticing is sports and extracurricular are a great way to keep our kids bonded and in our schools. It also helps improve attendance rates. Diamondville staff has really been stepping up and working towards it. Looking at Collettville, Mr. Sandbrook and Mrs. Berthollet are going to take 34 kids to Victoria to go see the Legislative Assembly and civic and cultural sites. They do an excellent job at Collettville around providing curriculum-based field trips. And Mr. Sandbrook steps up time and time again. So he's made a real difference at Collettville and set a high standard. When we're looking at Merritt Bench, Mr. Denton had a Lego challenge activity where they had to pull a disaster card and then create a kind of scene from that. We know kids love Lego. They often have Lego set up in their learning commons where they tie it to a learning activity. So some great things going on at Merritt Bench as well. Looking at Merritt Secondary, they did a really good job with their Remembrance Day ceremony. You know, incorporating both Indigenous traditions and you know, recognizing the contributions of those that gave their lives for freedom and democracy. There's wonderful things that go on in our schools every day. And you know what? We have a little competition going with who can have the best entries into the superintendent's report, but just amazing the sharing. And this honestly is just the tip of the iceberg of the good things that happen in our school. Looking at PSS, the one I was going to highlight, Jamie makes a cameo in this one.
So does Dave.
So does Dave with the PSS students doing the Wreath at the Remembrance Day ceremony. Just our trustees and our student trustees do a wonderful job representing our district. Merritt Central, there's always a ton of things going on at Merritt Central. The one I was going to highlight is first day of snow, both in Princeton and in Merritt. Everyone was living their best lives. Pete and Jenny, our new principal at BFE, learned that there is such a thing of people claiming ownership of snow and navigating that. But it was great to see the kids outside having fun with what was going on there. Looking at our community learning center, and a real credit to Allison because she makes an effort to share what's going on in our alternate program. The one that I would highlight is going to the Chalouse Memorial to honor fallen soldiers on Remembrance Day. They do a great job of land-based learning, you know, incorporating real life skills into what our kids are doing there just beyond book learning. You know, oftentimes alternate programs do not have the best reputation. I would say that we could speak highly of both our programs, our one in Merritt and our one in Princeton, and it's a big credit to our staff that work there. Alternate programs live and die by the staff. And I can say the same thing about Andy and Leanna at the Bridge. You know, it's a different experience at our two alternate schools, but it's really about highlighting a different path for kids where the one size fits all model doesn't work. Looking at Skies, the one I was going to highlight, a grade 3 and grade 7 student walking in the Curse Mountains in Albania.
Wow.
Because our Skies kids can be anywhere in the world. Sometimes their parents choose to do distance learning or online learning because they want to travel and they want to do different things. And And I really love when they include the pictures because it really shows our Skies kids, which are often kind of like a number on a page, coming to life with the great things that are going on there. And then BFE, I mentioned it at Merritt Central, but the arrival of snow.
Territorial.
It was territorial, you know, we start building snow forts and, you know, there might be some disagreement about who owns that snow, or there might be some stealing of the snow to go on someone else's fort. But that just really brings you back to the joy of childhood and, you know, the innocence. So, you know, we have both sides of the spectrum there, but I encourage you and the people who are tuning in online, if you have time, go through this document. It highlights the great work of our staff. And judging by the thickness of this, you can tell why our staff are tired and ready for Christmas break. We like to joke there's nothing like teacher tired, but I would include all of our staff in that as well. But just a real credit to what they do all year round, but as we lead up into the holiday season as well.
I get so happy about this. Thank you, Court, because you bring it to life. And Simone, if you could pass on.
I will.
To Simone, because this is no joke. This is like color, double-sided. Thank you. And to all the administrators in schools that help make these come true too. So appreciate it very much.
It's truly a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't always get to deal with, you know, the fun things in my role. And that's just part of the nature, but this actually makes me so happy every month when I get to share the great things that are going on in our school. And it's why I enjoy my school visits so much, when I get to see it up front and personal. So
Not exaggerating. I have an office right next to her, and I know when it's like this has come out hot off the presses, it's quite a lovely, like, listening in on.
And just for you, home and for fellow trustees, there's usually a digital copy sent to us, but also it's on our website.
Yep.
And then it's also, I know, he also puts it on the Facebook page, so I really appreciate the resource. It's just yet another way we can focus on the good things. We do. All right, 8.0, we are looking at operations and potential school closure, just the update course.
So this one will just be brief. All of our summaries are now posted to our potential school closure page. Thank you to Cassie, who helps me keep it updated. We have a new questions and answer document, part 1. It's pretty thorough, but I am working on a part 2. We have completed our 11 community consultation meetings, both in our school communities and out at our First Nations. Just a summary of attendance for our meetings. What we appreciate is people giving up their time to come. You know, there's a lot of competing interests for your time in the evening. Also, for those ones that took the time to share their thoughts either by email or by letter or conversation, what we're doing now is we're planning, what does our second consultation look like? We've confirmed the dates. So the meeting dates are January and then one the very first week of February. What we decided to do, because attendance was not strong at all of our meetings, so rather than doing 11 separate meetings, we've combined it into a smaller number, and we're at a little bit of a different place in the process right now. And just a timeline for people that might be unaware, we're just working on the data analysis right now. We're hoping to have the final report from fall consultation either up tomorrow or Friday at the latest. Just working on a few last details there. We're going back out in January and February. March is when the board will make their decision. And then school closure, whether it closes or doesn't close, has an impact on the budget, which will come to the board typically in April. So, and we have a dedicated email address if people have further questions. And Cassie's done a great job of actually highlighting it. You can click it. It's very easy to find. And then when I've been out, I've encouraged people, if they can't remember what that email address is, they're welcome just to email me directly. We aim to have a response back to people within 48 hours, if not before.
Appreciate that. Item B, the bridge location for fiscal year. Oh,
I
hi.
do have a question.
Yes. And another.
So we attend PAC meetings, And we get a lot of questions. And we said we summarize those and bring them back to the board. Should we summarize those and ask them on the website or just send them to you?
You can just send them to me. And then if we've already answered it, but there may be questions that they've asked that haven't come to us, so then I can incorporate them in the next question and answer document.
Yeah, because I think there were some questions that I went, that's a great question. Or maybe the way they asked it, if I interpreted and presented. I think there's some good questions.
I would agree. You know, one of the things that we found when we went out, depending on how close you are to the school that potentially closes, you have different perspectives, right? It's much easier to be kind of objective when it's not your school that's potentially closing. And you know what, sometimes ideas come forward, but also if it is potentially your school that might close, you come forward with ideas of potentially what could that look like? Or you ask questions that maybe we haven't thought about as the answer. So yeah, I would encourage you, you can just send it to us and then we can summarize it and put it on the website. And we're really keeping it on that page so that people aren't searching for it. That was one of the complaints we had about our own old website. It was really hard to find information. It wasn't all linked together, but Cassie's done an excellent job with the formatting. We've had pretty positive feedback around our website and it's so much easier to locate things that you're looking for.
Yeah, I know that when we were at the Princeton meeting, we weren't sure whether we were gonna have a follow-up meeting, whether that was strictly speaking necessary for you know, like for the Princeton people down there. Have we decided on whether or not that's happening? Do we think that was necessary? Has there been interest in that?
So we haven't booked one for January and February because the feedback we got from the group is it does and it doesn't impact them in the same way because if there is not a school closure, we will have a budget issue that affects us all the way across. I think the better piece probably to go back to gather feedback is when we get further into our strategic plan. There was a lot of interest, especially in Princeton, around that piece, you know, with suggestions and concerns. So I think we would plan a meeting for later on in the spring. But you know, if we get a request to go to Princeton, the feedback we took is it probably wasn't necessary to come back a second time.
I figured I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that was noted.
Appreciate it. Does that feel complete? Right. Very tender, really appreciate communities having difficult conversation and the leadership of this operation. I'm really grateful you've sat through some really tough conversations. So thank you so much, everybody. Moving forward. Item B, the bridge.
So last year we passed a motion about the bridge staying in the old Princeton board office location. This was a result of student voice. The kids came forward and said, you know what, we really feel like this is a better learning environment. We also saw better attendance of our kids with the bridge being located kind of in the town center. And really, because of the 2 floors, there's more space to spread out and kind of make it their own. From a financial point of view, having it run as a school, there's benefits in terms of maintenance, and there's some maintenance that needs to happen like all of our buildings there. But what we decided is that each year the board would pass a motion. We weren't guaranteeing placement there forever. So it'll just be something that comes up yearly. And we'll just remember to put it on our agenda each year.
I'll move.
I'll second. Any conversation or comment about the bridge? Just notable, and I know that this goes without, you mentioned it before, but the team there, I work with some of the youth who attend, and I work with some of the youth who didn't have the opportunity to attend downtown. And there's always comments like, oh, I wish I could have had a chance to be down and be a part of the kind of the community a bit more. So there's a real equity piece about being seen. And then the other pieces, Miss Lenti and Mr. Jonas are so adored by their students, past, present, and yeah, I just hands up to them. Thank you.
You know what, they do a great job. You know, I think the building is another layer that adds on to the good things that are already happening there. But what we know and what the research would tell us, just attendance in general, if you have good relationships with the people that you interact with every day, you are much more likely to attend on a regular basis. You know, we have a core group that's showing up there every day. And one of the things I really like about what Andy or Mr. Jonas does is he makes real world connections. Like when they're learning about math, they're building a budget. You know, the day I was there, they were talking about why it's better to buy the energy drink at Walmart than it is to go buy it at the corner store and economies of scale. But you know what? It was something that really made concrete sense to them. And they speak very highly of both Andy and Leanna when I'm there. And normally I don't tell them when I'm coming, I just pop in because I love to pop in at the bridge. But the kids are really proud to show you around their building and they've taken real ownership of it. So you know what, there's some really great things going on there.
Appreciate you. We are on to those of you. Hi, Justin.
Do we need to do all in favor?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, thank you. All those in favor.
Motion.
Thank you, Justin. We just could talk happily about all the things.
Well, there's a motion.
Governance piece. Thank you, Just. All right, item number 9, audit and finance. The talented and very wise Mark, you are up.
Hey, I'm just bringing this update to the board of the amended budget, and I've included a diagram which will hopefully help people because it sounds like we're always talking about budget. We effectively approve 2 budgets a year, basically one budget and then amendment to that budget. So this diagram shows the cycle of the budget cycle and where we are right now. We but in September, we confirmed our enrollment and sent it to the ministry, and now we're anticipating the ministry to confirm that funding next week, which will give us a chance then to amend our budget and adjust for other assumptions, things that we'll still need to look at as an estimate for enrollment for our SCIDES enrollment, because we get additional funding in February and May based on those enrollments. So that's important to put in. So just information.
I do love a good visual, Mark. Thank you. All right, we are moving along. Hi. Yes.
Mark, when we have a board approval of the amended budget mid-February, will it include almost like 2 options, whether or not there's a school closure and or no closure?
So the school closure revenues and expenses will affect next year's budget. So this is just to carry us
Just for
through
this year.
to
Thank
June,
you.
so it has no impact
Okay,
on the
thank
year
you.
budget.
It's clarified.
Great question.
Great question, trustee Chenoweth. All right, item 10, policy and administrative procedures, and we are looking at.
So there is an addition that's not in your package. It's communicable diseases outbreak management. So Cassie printed off a copy for you and we'll add it to our website. The reason why we brought this one forward in December rather than waiting to January is we actually had cases of hand, foot, and mouth in a few of our schools. So it's not a great place to be when there's a gap in your policy or your procedure. So real credit to Misty, she put this together. It's a team effort getting these admin procedures done, but it gives us a basis and it's reassuring to admin staff and to parents that there's a document that you can find. So that's why we're bringing that one forward that wasn't in your package. Misty also did the school-based teams. You know, she did a great job of working with some of our IEC members, getting feedback from our admin teams. It's a nice comprehensive admin procedure that really lays it out nicely. So especially if you are a new administrator, this is a lovely guide so that we are seeing consistency and coherence across our schools. And then our last one is unexpected health emergencies. And thank you to Dave. We found a few typos, so we will fix those before we publish this to the website. This one is actually required by the ministry and we had to have it in place by December 31st. This one was a team effort between Barb and I and Misty's editing skills. Basically, it lays out the AEDs and the procedures that go around that, as well as the naloxone kits. Something that we should be proud of as a district is we are far ahead of the deadlines. When we knew this was coming out, we got ahead of it. And we actually ordered the rest of the AEDs that we needed. Ours are all installed, ready to go. The ministry had to adjust their timeline because when schools went to order, there wasn't enough capacity. But something that we're ahead of schedule and just increases the safety of our students. So.
Just around that administrative procedure, naloxone trustees were a part of the naloxone program. And I brought that to support some of the learning where they train young people within community. And so I didn't know if that was something of value. Great work, everybody. Yeah, thank you. All right, item with the very incredible trustee reports. And Misty, perhaps you can guide.
I would
our
love
wonderful
to.
Student voice at the table. And I just wanted to give a little context that how awesome and incredible you both are. Of all of the districts in the province, you are one of 4 districts. We are one of 4 districts that has student voice at our table. And so we're really so grateful you're here. So thank you for spending your time with us. And Misty.
Again, I just have to echo that because you guys are always really responsive and I know we've got Jacob who's been in the role and we have our incoming Shani who's joining us and you guys have all hit the ground running. So I really appreciate that. When I got Mr. Cohen to connect with you last week to talk about December typically is with the approaching festive season. Lots of light and love and all the things in the air that are going on in schools, but sometimes it's not always that way for families. Sometimes it can feel really heavy and stressful. And so we know there's a combination of kind of both of that goes on in our communities. And I'm wondering if you could speak to some of the things that MSS does in December to create a festive and welcoming environment during this time of year. And if you had any suggestions for additional but small, meaningful activities or ideas in the school that would help build these type of stress-free community building activities that can be so important for students at this time of year, which might be joyful for some and challenging for others.
I like that the school puts up decoration like just right as December hits. Cause honestly, I don't like Christmas sometimes. So then when I see all the decoration, it immediately reminds me of Christmas and the upcoming holiday. And cause there's this thing going on, like the 14 treats thing, like you go out, you find something like throughout the school, then you bring it to a classroom to get like candy or something. Like I
Like hide
think,
and seek?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
like last year, I was still feeling a little bit down about like Christmas coming up, but then I found one of those and I felt a little bit better afterwards, you know?
Yeah.
And for the second one to introduce something, I remember this one year we had like interactive boards about something. This wasn't for the holidays, but in general, I liked that they wanted our small little opinion on something. Like, because yeah, it was fun. And for the second question, it brings up like why it is important. It's important because it could slowly affect someone's perspective on the holidays. Cause like it's a yearly thing, it doesn't come around a lot, which means it is harder to change that perspective. So if you introduce more happy feelings, slowly over time, it will become different.
Nice. Really well said. Thank you.
Sharon.
Yeah, and then I said LSS does a really good job at getting everybody together, like whole school. And they create a lot of welcoming activities. Like in December, we host the winter dances, which I'm gonna be performing at tomorrow.
Wow.
And then the Winter Frostable, which is a big talent show. Both are very popular among everybody there. We also like do the decorating challenges. Leadership goes around and ask classes if they want to compete together to decorate trees, decorate pictures, anything. It's just kind of a competition. And then I don't really have any solid suggestions for activities the school should include, but I think more activities like maybe a Christmas tree or something that brings everybody together to do one activity that they can maybe add on to it. And another thing I've heard from like other students, like my friends and stuff, is like like going to the skating rink, like having maybe a trip, like if you want to go over there. These type of stress-free activities matter a lot to both students and teachers. They bring everybody together in wholesome activities. And with the performances, people can show their talents and just have fun without worrying about anything. And that they build a community who can all work with each other and just have fun before the break.
Thank you.
Nice.
Well, very much for your perspective and your voice. It's really refreshing to have at this table. Does anyone have any questions for the student trustees or wonders?
A big tree of the.
Look at that, right in the middle,
Yeah.
and everyone
What
decorated.
decorated?
Yeah, I like it. Playing at the dance, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Drums, guitar,
I got a band.
a band,
Yeah.
of course you do.
Yeah.
What's the band's name?
9 o'clock then.
And I just, if I could make a comment, Shani, I think your opinions are big and wonderful. So I just love that we were able to focus in and just know your opinions are heard. So thanks for offering. Thank you guys very, very much. Moving on, report. Trustee Swan does it in the very, to my left, to my right, so is there anyone that wants to volunteer to go first?
There.
Okay, great. Great, thank you. All right. I was voluntold. So we had our PSS PAC meeting last month. It was a really good meeting. We covered a lot of ground. We had some teacher requests for funds that we were able to talk about. But the vice principal, Mr. Jensen, actually came in and did a presentation about getting security cameras in the schools and wanted to know if the PAC would support it, and talked about the successes that MSS had and how, you know, a real desire to sort of change the culture within the school. So it sounds like a really positive thing they want to get going there. And the PAC agreed to write a letter of support for that. So that's being done. We talked about a lot of similar things that were talked about tonight, the sex trafficking and that sort of thing, and what resources that the PAC can bring in for parents. One of those was to possibly host another meeting with Kathy Peters, who did like a Zoom session we had parents and stuff could come to PSS and listen to her speak about the topic. So they're kind of looking at maybe doing something else like that again for the community, just because it is such a hub for exploitation and sex trafficking. We had our PSS open house, which we did see in the superintendent's report. It was really good. We actually had quite a few families attend. We had some food that we provided as the PAC for them, and they could come in and just have a tour of the school, have a meeting with teachers if they want. So it was a lot of fun. The PSS also got Backpack Buddies going as a program there, which is a program that they have at, I think, VFE. I'm not sure about John Allison. But they actually got it up and running, and it basically gives kids a backpack full of some items that can kind of keep them going over the weekend if they need that sort of support. They currently have 12 kids worth of items that kids can take home. They also talked about possibly getting sort of some information packages going for incoming grade 8 parents. Just because we've got quite a few new parents on the PAC that have grade 8 students just came in, and they had a lot of questions, and they said it'd be really nice if we could sort of have like a comprehensive guide for parents that could come out, give them an idea of you know, info about school supplies, because there isn't a list like there is for the other schools and that type of thing. You know, what an I-day is, what the block rotations look like, just stuff so that when the kids come in on the first day that they have a little bit more idea of what's going on, and the parents do as well.
Yeah, they're looking at adding PAC meeting dates to the PSS website, just so it's easier for parents to sort of access when and where those meetings are. And then we set meeting dates for the rest of the year. Covered a lot.
Wow. And you guys meet every month?
Yes, we're not meeting this month, but yes, I think that's currently the system. We have, I think maybe not March because of spring break.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anyone else like to volunteer to go next? Thanks, John.
Let's hear. Skides, again, Skides has parents from well, 3 different areas of the province. There's 3 active parents on Skides, so they like to plan a lot of trips where they can send students to plays, activities, fun things around the province and get students together. I think you saw some of it in the report where students, they do a lot of connection remotely. They do have a lot of funding in their bank, and they're planning always around grad time, end of school celebrations, requiring students things like books and gift certificates to get books because they're not in a bricks and mortar. So Colleyville, we had a meeting, and a lot of the dialogue focused on their planning for Quebec, I guess in February, and their fundraising efforts. Like I said, they're a machine. And a lot of dialogue, about an hour with me, just about the whole school closure process. And I said I'd like to have all of that in a list of questions, and that's what I forwarded to Mark and Courtney. And it's somewhat an ongoing dialogue is what I'm feeling right now. So I believe that they are a concerned group, but they're also realist. They know that we have to make decisions and that they're tough decisions. So that's what I'll say.
Thank you, John, for that tender conversation. I think trustee Rayner did have his hand up for like the, I will go next.
Yeah, right. Everybody's stepping over me.
Oh, no.
They had a come read with me, workshop for, hosted by Madeira Maynard, at the school for parents and students, which is big thank you to her for setting that up. They like John, wanted, information on the school consultations. I'm gonna suggest to them that they go to the website, a lot of information's gonna be on there. Some great summary reporting done. They're making progress on their kitchen. They've got so many different people supplying them with donations, and so.
Drax, like Drax just gave.
Drax, yeah.
cash. Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get going on that. And that's about it. DPAC Digital Resources are gonna look into some of that stuff. There you go.
And
I'm going next, you bet. So Central, had to postpone their meeting. It was scheduled for Tuesday night, but they had their winter concert. And, so we moved the PAC meeting till next week, so I can report in January, but I think that Tuesday was a success as far as I heard, so they had a lot of fun, in the evening. And then Diamondville, we met a few weeks back. Like John did with Colleyville, we had a lengthy conversation about school relocations. And they were able to kind of have some questions and answers to go back and forth, so that was good. And then a lot of their other focus is on the upcoming winter concert and what Christmas looks like for that community. And then fundraising for in the new year. So they're an excited group of folks that are ambitious to get to work for their school. So there's lots going on at Diamondville.
Excellent. Thank you. And I got to meet with Vermilion Forks Elementary November the 20th. And like all of you, just to summarize, like the parents that are at these PACs just have so much heart for their school communities, and they advocate, often I say again, they advocate for parents and others that can't be at the table. So they're working really hard. I will say There's some pretty big stuff going on there. And I just want to thank the trustees that supported the Vermilion Forks fundraiser. The PAC is doing a fundraiser for their trip to Apex for some skiing, and I had sold some tickets at a recent event, and so just want to thank you for that. And Jamie and I, we got to attend a band concert, right? So we got some pretty excited. I would like to say that young Beethoven's in the making. Yes, and so with every moment of that, we also got to take in baking. So who brought home some baking?
Oh,
Yeah,
I brought baking.
we brought home some bacon, yeah, so this was good. This is Leah who doesn't bake. I would also like to just put out the challenge. Our parents were like so happy. I was like, oh, I'll take some of those tickets. I'm going to some event and we'll do that. And then, if you want, you can just check out my Facebook page, okay? I happen to have sold out of my tickets as of today. My people, the communities, my friends, they're buying them up. It's a hot commodity, a Milwaukee 2-tier level and a gardening package. I mean, if you want more, everybody who's listening at home, we got the heat, okay? We got the heat. Also, I'd like to say, Vermilion Forks Elementary talked a lot about, I think it was 40% of their students are taking advantage of the hot lunch program. So it's like a big win, and thanks so much to maintenance and to staff and to parents for getting that project off the ground. So Dear Maynard was on Dave's report, and I would just like to give the title and sort of the association. Dear Maynard is the Princeton Leaders for Literacy Outreach Coordinator, and she joined us at the meeting and really wanted to connect how they could serve young readers and learners. And so we will be resurrecting the amazing literacy race. Both Pete and all parents were on board. They wanted to make sure that at the end of May, that was a good time for them. That's when students of Vermilion Forks will move through the community of Princeton in partnership with many like Save on Foods, Valley First Financial Skills Center. We have a number of legs of the race where our students will be working in groups, collaborative groups, and they will be connecting with their community in meaningful ways. Also art and resiliency workshop, free mental health resources. There was a free mental health first aid course, and there was a safe talk course, all free from another role that Deira has, which is with the Canadian Mental Health Association. And so parents were invited to participate in all of those. And so just overall, a really interactive and a great example of how PAC is bringing in community, advocating, using their trustee to sell tickets. Using my social, but there, always there's work to do, but more importantly, I just wanted to put a shout out. This PAC will email me or phone me or let me know if there's something that we could do a little bit better. So we have an open dialogue. So I just wanted to say thank you to them for that. And thanks to you guys for letting me talk a little bit about how wonderful this VFA PAC was.
She's a tough act.
Yeah. Go for it.
Item C.
Oh, my turn.
Hey,
still.
his turn.
Hey.
I'm so sorry.
Eh? It's totally Gordon me, right?
And you're such a big support. Thank you.
Anyways,
Buddy.
I was at a community engagement when the Nicola Camford PAC met on November 17th. But I got a nice little summary from Christina Pear, their secretary, so it's perfect. They celebrated the fact that in their book fair that they made over $1,000. So pretty well done for a little small school like that. So there was some discussions about school closures as well at the meeting. Nothing really heavy came out of that group. They were just really curious on how it would impact them as a school community. And I'll be at the next PAC meeting to bring any of those concerns forward, right? So they had the first winter concert of this year, right? I believe it was on the 2nd. I know it was a success because I know my wife was there and she said it was excellent. So, and the fact that it was at night was nice, right? So very cool. The other big heavy hitter for them is the Christmas Bonanza, which is scheduled for December 18th with a big tradition out at Nicola Camford. So that'll be happening here right quick. The other thing that's come up and then the Nicola Canford PAC is supporting is, and we've talked about it here, I know Justin and I have been in conversations in past roles and stuff about the pathway that would go from Rocky Pines. Anybody that knows Aberdeen Road, that would bring everybody from Rock and Pines, all the communities around Lower Nicola, and funnel them right down, have a safe walk passageway that takes you right down to like Courtesy Corner, Nicola Canford, the school itself. So one of the members of the PAC, she's kind of spearheading this, and she's been reaching out to the TNRD, Ministry of Transportation and the band. She started all that. I believe she has a question for possibly the board if we'd be interested in supporting that. So I'll get some insights on that in the next meeting. But it's a really excellent group of individuals, and they got some good things going on here. So proud of the PAC.
That's excellent. I think that was a great way to close the show. Other reports, I have one regarding the BCSTA Academy that we attended. Does anyone else have any other reports that they wanted to share in this time? Just to report that some of your trustees from Nicholas and Milkameen attended and some of your senior staff attended the BCSTA Academy in the Lower Mainland. And the focus of that was on many levels, obviously governance, how to make good decisions. We were looking at policy around naloxone and to support reducing gender violence incidents, and the BC Lions program, how not to be a bystander, and how they'll be passing through our district about 6 times over the spring.
Yeah.
And Chair Swan and Courtney, I think we are trying to find a way so that they can maybe pop into Princeton and Merritt. So we also looked at human rights and equity. We had autism inclusive practices and First Nations education. We had UNESCO as well join us and had just an excellent opportunity to learn for 3 days. So we are hopeful that we will have a really safe and healthy Christmas holidays, although it was brought to our attention that it is not an easy, safe, or easy time for some of our communities. And just a little bit of an additional report, just with all of this additional rain right now, we are mindful that some of our communities are still feeling the impacts of a 4-year ago event. So just some additional thoughts with communities that may or may not have some undone healing that need to be addressed. So in our schools, perhaps we will be looking at the next few days with these weather events bring. So any correspondence that we see? I don't see any in my package.
Nope.
Any comments or questions online? Any additional questions or comments from student trustees and we have no media here. Public question period. Hello? Anyone? Anyone out there? At this point, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Thank you, and second. All right, all those in favor, here we are. We are adjourned at 7:35. Do you actually use?
It worked, yeah.